Hey everyone, welcome back. It's a hot day today. To quote Rob Thomas, it's a hot one, like 7 inches from the midday sun. Maybe it's not quite that hot, but it's pretty darn hot, and I am not the only person who has thought about putting their feet in the water or swimming at the river or at the ocean. I'm at the river actually, and so finally put my feet in the water, and it is very refreshing. I had hoped that I could video here at the river, but as you can hear, it's very busy, it's very noisy, and to be honest, it's not very relaxing. Oh well, they're enjoying themselves, and that's the whole point. Today I wanted to talk about friends and friendship, because as we get older, or as I get older, I find that it is harder to make new friends, but the friends that I have are even more special. I've never been the kind of person that had a lot of friends. I think a lot of us introverts are like that. We are not, in general, introverts are not the kind of people that have huge friend groups. We tend to have small friend groups, and each of those friends is, like really good friends. We have acquaintances, but I notice with the people that I know that are extroverts, they have a lot of friends. They have a huge friend group. Often friends that they've been friends with, people they've been friends with since, elementary school or something like that. And certainly introverts have friends for that length of time, from that period of time as well. But, the extroverts I know, know so many people, and that they consider good friends. And I find that fascinating. Really, I do, because I can count on one hand the people in my life that I consider really good friends. And I'm not talking about my children, because they are my best friends as well. But I'm talking about not blood related, though you could be best friends with a family member, a sister, sibling, that sort of thing. But I'm talking about other people. Literally, I can count on one hand the number of people that I consider really good friends. And throughout my life, I have realized that friends come into your life for 3 reasons. This is probably where I should have gone in the first place. A little farther upriver, shallower, but heck of a lot quieter. So like I was saying, people come into your life for one of 3 reasons. You'll have people in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And that is perfectly normal. And often we don't know for what reason that person is in our world when we meet them or when they're in our life. Sometimes we have people in our life that we want to be there for a lifetime, but they're not. They're there for a reason or a season. And sometimes that makes us sad, but in hindsight, we see why that person was in our life. So the first category, the people who are in our lives for a reason, they're the people that we know at work that we might consider friends. They can be there to teach us something, to guide us, as co-workers, that sort of thing. And those people are very important, obviously, but they're always meant to be supporting characters in our lives, background characters often, that sort of pop in for a reason, a specific reason. And it could be that we want them in our lives longer, but we then realize that no, they were there for a very specific short period of time for a reason. And then there are the people that are in our lives for a season. And this is I think, the category that probably causes us the heartache the most often, because they can be romantic partners. They can be business partners. They can be friends that we originally thought were going to be friends for life. But it didn't work out. And afterwards we realized that those people actually needed to be in our lives because they were exactly who we needed in our world, in our lives, for the period of life we were in. And at any other stage of our life, they wouldn't have fit. They wouldn't have been people that should be in our lives. Does that make sense? And then we have the people that are in our lives for a lifetime. And these are our dear, dear friends, our family, our children, the people that we count on, that count on us, the people that will ride out each of those seasons when we're at our worst, when we're at our best. Those are the true friends, and the family members that we're the closest to. So they're the ones that are super special because they accept us for exactly who we are, and they know all of our secrets, they see all of our warts, and they still love us. Right now at this age, I know it's difficult to make new friends, but I've been very lucky because in the last, 5 years, I've made a couple of new, really dear friends that I'm really close to. These are women that we must have been friends or family in another life because it feels like I've always known them, even though I haven't. I've only known them for a few years. And then I have a few other friends that I have had a long time. We've been through thick and thin, as they say. You know, these 5 people in my life are the people that I would call if I needed anything, and I know that they would do anything for me. They would give me the shirt off their back. They would get in their car and drive. They would always be there for me. I have a lot of other people that I'm friendly with, but I have 5 people that I consider best friends. So I've always believed that, and I've told my kids this many times, that it's an expression that I heard ages ago, years and years and years ago. I have no idea who actually said it, but I absolutely believe it. And it's that you are the average of the people that you spend the most time with. I usually say the 5 people you spend the most time with, but it really, I guess, depends on each person. But I firmly believe that. I believe that the people, and now work is outside of this because we don't get to choose the people that we're working with usually. So I'm talking about the people that we spend the most time with outside of that situation. These are the people that influence us the most, whose habits we tend to take on, and whose energy we absorb. And so if those people are negative people, if those people are people that are always taking our energy and not replenishing it with giving their own, if they're people that are always seeing the worst in the world and in other people, then we start to see the worst in the world and in other people. If they're people that are dishonest, if they're people that are that you just aren't good people, then it's easy for us to slip into that as well. And of course, if they're people that are, loving and caring and accepting and encouraging, and who move through the world looking for the best, expecting to see the best, and attracting that and putting out that energy, then we absorb that and we become more of that as well. And so it's really important to pay attention to the people you allow in your life that you spend the most time with, as much as possible. And it's hard sometimes to sort of remove people in our lives that aren't bringing us that kind of energy, and who are depleting us, and who are taking from us, and who aren't, giving as much, putting as much into the relationship as we are, and they are just always taking. It's hard. And I've had to stop spending time with people who I felt like I was the one who was always doing all the work and always reaching out and always trying to make this friendship work. There wasn't at any time a point where I said, I'm breaking up with you as your friend. No, I just stopped trying. It was an experiment, actually, with one friend. I just stopped reaching out to her just to see how long it would take. And she never reached out. But the next time I saw her in a social setting, her first sort of comment to me was, "Oh, I haven't seen you in ages. You never reach out. You never call me or anything anymore." It just wasn't even worth it to say, well, the phone actually, it's this really cool invention. It actually goes both directions. It wasn't worth it. So that's how I sort of remove those people in my life. And there have been family members that I felt were unhealthy to be around, toxic maybe even. Family's harder, but I just limited my time with that person. And I made sure that when I was spending time with that person, it was with a group of family members, so there were other people around to sort of dilute it. And I just minimized my contact and slowly just backed out of that. And it does work. It does take time. And sometimes you can't, right? Because you are married to somebody like that, or, they're your parent or something. But in general, I think it's really important to remember that you're the average of the people you spend the most time with. And even at work, if you're really in a negative work environment, if it's possible, I think it's important to try and move away from that. Maybe it means looking for another job. Maybe it means finding a different role in the company. I don't know. And again, I know that one is hard as well, but I think that's really important. So as I said, I have, 5 people. So I have 5 amazing humans that I consider my best friends, aside from my kids, who I consider my best friends as well. And you can have more than one best friend. But you know how I said earlier that people come into your world for one of 3 reasons: for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I also think that the people that you consider your best friends, often, almost always, I would say always, there's something about that person that you would like to be more of. Like I have one of the people in there, she's an extrovert. And I love that about her. And I would like to be more like that, even though I'm not. So again, one of the reasons that I'm drawn to her is because of that energy. I have one friend who would help me hide the body. If I called and said, I need to hide a body, she'd be like, yep. It's like, she would help me hide the body. I have another best friend who would make me turn myself into the police. She would be supportive. She would come with me, but she's not the one who's going to help me hide the body. And then I have another friend, and he's the really good advice I don't always want to hear, especially about relationships. But always been spot on. And we can talk about anything. He's the one that I can talk about politics with and all of that. And we just, you know, share so many, the same sort of interests. So conversations are awesome. And then the other two are both very spiritual, very creative, sort of, I don't know, Mother Earth types. And I just find that my soul feels so full of, I don't know, I feel warm just thinking about it, right in my chest. And so they're the people that I know I can talk anything out with. And they'll help me dream. They'll help me manifest. You know, none of the people in my life that I consider my best friends would ever be critical. But these two people, now these ladies are the ones that would be like hyping me up and helping me manifest. Vice versa. So again, each of the people that you consider your best friends, also there's something about each of them that you would want to be more of, and there's something about each of them that's unique, that you know that if this situation happened, that would be the friend that you would call, or if that situation happened, that would be the friend you would call. Again, fascinating. So I would challenge all of you to think about that. Think about your circle of friends, and think about who you would call in different situations, and who you know, would help you hide the body. Not that I'm advocating for that. Obviously, each of these people in your world are different, you know, unique individuals, but your good friends, your best friends, are people you share morals, values with. You know, you have the core things in common. You can be very different. You can be different religions, different ethnicities, different careers, different ages and stages in life. But you have to share the basics, or I don't think you can be best friends, right? Like you have to have those core things in common. Anyways, I was thinking about that recently, because I was thinking about how lucky I am to have amazing people in my life. Woo! And so I just wanted to share. I would love to know how many people in your life you consider your best friends, and why. Share that down below. I think that would be awesome. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. I love you, and I'll see you next time.